Hi, so I'm looking at the JMG Hyperspace reverb designed by Jason Gibbons. This is an amazing reverb, really amazing on many levels. I'm not going to do a detailed overview of the controls in this video because I've already done one in another video which I'll link below. And in that one I do a detailed overview of all the controls, so if you want to have that, have a look at that video. But in this one I'm going to be looking at vocal sounds. It's an amazing reverb. There's only a handful of reverbs out there that can do real sounding spaces to my ears, and this is definitely one of them. But it can also do plates and hardware emulations. So we're going to have a look at all of those, and hope you find this useful. And so let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to be listening to vocals with plates and halls. I'm not going to go over all the controls because I did that in another video where I went through all the controls. So if you want to know about those, then check that video out. But we're going to now start with plates, and I'm going to first play the vocal dry so you can hear what it sounds like with nothing on it. And now we're going to start with a plate. So this will be the vocal with the plate reverb.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines.
So you get an idea of the plate algorithm, and I made a few adjustments there. I actually quite like that, so I think I'm actually going to save that. So let's listen to another plate. This is another one. These are all patches that I made. They're not in the presets, but if you're interested, you can just see what how I've set them out here on the interface. Okay.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines. Reach out to me, other eyes smile tenderly, but in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you.
So that's another plate, and I did some variations there. And I think that gives you hopefully a pretty good idea of what the plate algorithms are like. And now we're going to move on to halls. Now with the halls, there's a lot of options here, but obviously I can't go through everything, so I've decided to go with the classic and the modern. Now the vintage is emulation of plate reverbs. And just in case, I'm not going to go through all the controls, but I will just mention that this XY pad here moves between two different algorithms for each of these. So if I select vintage, you've got one plate algorithm here and another one here, and you can move smoothly between them. Now I'm not going to explain everything else because again I did it all in another video, but I'm now going to move on to the halls, and I think I'll start with a hall from the classic. So I'm going to go for this one. Now the classic is emulated algorithms from two very famous high-end hardware reverbs. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are, but it just gives you a lot of variation when you've got that, and then you've got retro, which is emulations of a couple of software reverbs, and you've got modern, which we'll listen to in a minute, which are reverbs designed specifically for Hyperspace. And then you've got a couple of really nice sound designy reverbs, which we'll get to near the end. So now start to listen to the first of our halls here.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
So wow, beautiful sounding hall reverb, really makes this vocal sound lush and beautiful. And I thought the plates sounded really excellent also. I actually like the sound of this vocal with the hall, despite the fact that those plates give it a kind of vintagey feel, and sometimes that's what you want. On this one I like the hall. So let's try another one from that same set of two algorithms, hardware algorithms. We'll go for this one.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
Again, beautiful sounding hall reverb, and as you'll note with the previous reverb, that was all the way on this side, so that was the one algorithm, 100% I think it was, of one of these hardware reverbs, and this is the other one. And of course you can go anywhere in between. So let's now move on to a third classic reverb, and this is one that is a mixture of the two.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as...
So ultra smooth, really nice reverb, hall reverb. And now we're going to move on to the moderns. So this is based on two algorithms designed by Jason Gibbons, the designer of Hyperspace. Designed these two algorithms from scratch for Hyperspace, and they are beautiful, very realistic, ultra realistic spaces, which is really hard to do, and very few reverbs do that, give you a real actual believable sense of space. But these modern reverbs are really great at that. So I'm going to start with this one.
Georgia, 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 the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
Beautiful. I mean, you can really hear the size of the space and the, you know, the depth and the 3D depth and size of the space that vocal's sitting in. Fantastic. And of course, that would be very useful in a mix which was denser. In this mix, because all you've got is piano and voice, and the piano has a completely different reverb on it. You're hearing the reverb more, and I've got it turned up quite loud just so that you can hear it more clearly. I wouldn't necessarily have the reverb that loud in an actual mix, but if you had a lot of other instruments going on, that sense of front to back depth, that 3D effect of the real sounding space, makes a huge difference in terms of opening out a mix and making it easier to hear where everything is in a mix. So really useful, the reverb algorithms. So now let's move on to another one.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
Another nice one. Let's try this one.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
It's a lovely big space, giving you a lot of size there, you know, actual 3D size. Again, if you're listening on headphones, you may not get this effect because headphones don't really reproduce the soundstage accurately in the sense of, you know, the front to back, because you don't get a front to back on headphones. Certainly not in the same way that you get with speakers. You can actually, with a really good pair of monitors, set up properly in a well acoustically designed room, you can actually hear the distance and almost measure the distance between the front and the back. You can say the vocals are, you know, 5 feet, or, you know, 5 meters away, and the, you know, the bass is 6 meters away. It's uncanny just how much front to back depth you can get when you have a great reverb, or if something's been recorded in a real space. But you're not going to hear that on headphones, so I suggested if you're interested in that sort of thing, check this out on a really good pair of speakers. So, okay, we're going to have one more hall reverb here.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear.
So another beautiful sounding hall. Just because this algorithm does sound beautiful. I'm not praising my programming here. Anything you do on this sounds beautiful. It's pretty much impossible to make a bad sounding reverb with this. It's just fantastic. So it's not a matter of you know, having to be amazingly skilled to create a nice reverb with this at all. Really, you can move these anywhere and it's going to sound good. It's just a matter of moving it to taste and to what suits the source, particular vocal and so forth, or whatever you've put it on. You notice on that I moved the distance control. This is a really interesting and useful one, and it's a psychoacoustic effect that creates a sense of distance for the source. It moves it further back and further forward, and yeah, I found that really a useful. I think I'm going to find it very useful in mixing scenarios. Again, especially when you have a dense mix, I think that's going to be really useful for positioning things. So, I hope you found that useful, and if you did, please subscribe, click like and ring the bell, and I hope to see you next time.